Welcome back. In this video we will introduce the concept of typecasting, and with the help of a few examples we'll show you why it's so important in Python. Let's remember what types were. So types, as the name suggests, are different types of data that can be stored in the program, and in Python four of the most important types are integers, which are whole numbers, floating point numbers, which are numbers that have a fractional part, strings, which are just strings of characters, so pretty much text, and then boolean, which is either true or false. With the help of the type function we can check what type each one of those variables has. So age is an integer, cost is a floating point number. Let's do it for cost as well. Name is a string, and student is a boolean. Now let's look together at a few exercises that will show you why typecasting is important. I encourage you to try to do the exercise on your own. So if you want to do it, I really encourage you to pause the video now and do it on your own. Alright, I hope you tried to do it. Let's do it together now. So it asks to ask the user how many items they would want to buy. So let's try to have a variable called number of items. In this case, this would be equal to well, we want to ask the user. So when you read ask the user in the task, it usually means that we want to use the input function. Remember that the input function has a prompt, which is written in the parameter. So the prompt would be, how many items would you like to buy? So this is what's shown to the user before they input their number of items. Then we would want to have a fixed price per item. So let's call this item cost would be 23 something, or I don't know, 11, doesn't matter. And then what we would want to do is have the total, which in this case would be number of items times the item cost. Remember that the times symbol in Python is an asterisk. Alright, and then the last thing to do is to print the set total. And if you've done this on your own and you've run it, you might have encountered the following problem. So we run this, it runs just fine. It asks how many items would you like to buy. If I type 4, we would expect to be 4 times 11, so 44. But in reality what we get is 11 fours. Why is that? Well, you might have guessed that it has something to do with types. When we read something with the input function, it's always a string. So this reads a string. What does that mean? It means that when we type the number 4 there, 4, it's actually this. So it's actually 4 as a text, not as a number. So now how do we make sure that this does the mathematical operation that we expect and not just write 11 times 4? I mean, yeah, literally speaking. Well, in order to do that, we want to specify that this input here is the number 4 and not the piece of text 4. So in order to do that, we want to cast it to an integer. So all we need to do is surround this input with a integer function and make sure you close the brackets. What this does, it creates a new integer from the text that it reads. Now if we look at this again and run it again, and we write 4 here, it will indeed multiply the numbers correctly and not just type 11 times the text 4. This will also work if the price is a floating point, because we can just as well multiply floating points with integers, but if this were to be a floating point, it would throw an error. So please pay attention to this typecast here, and I hope you have now at least gotten an idea of why it's important. We will look at the second one now. It says write a program that asks the user for the speed of a car at a specific moment. If the car is going more than 100 kilometers per hour, they will get a speeding ticket, and they will inform the user if they will get a speeding ticket or not. Once again, try to do this on your own. So if you want to try it or do it on your own, please pause the video now. Alright, I hope you have tried to do it. This also should be quite simple. Remember that if we have any kind of conditional, we should use the if statement. So once again, we should have a variable called speed in this case, and we want to input the current speed. So let's prompt the user to input your current speed. Then we want to check if the speed is greater or equal than 100. Remember the semicolons after the if statements. Now we want to print you are going too fast. You will get a speeding ticket. Remember also the else statement. So what happens if the speed is not greater or equal than 100? We can write something like keep driving safe. Good job. So once again, if the speed is greater than 100, this happens. Else, so if it's not greater or equal than 100, it will say the next one. But this still has an issue, the same kind of issue as before. Let's comment the above code so it won't affect us. Let's run it. Let's say our speed is 120, and what you can see, we get an error. It's really important that you can read and understand the errors you're getting. In this case, it says greater or equal sign is not supported between instances of string and integer. What does that mean? Well, it can't compare a piece of text with a number. So once again, what we want to do is convert this into an int, or actually better a float, because a speed can also have a fractional part. And if we run this again and have the current speed of 130, it will say you're going too fast, you will get a speed ticket. If we run it again and we type the speed 90, it will say keep driving, good job. So once again, this shows the importance of why you should always pay attention to types. If this was not converted to a float, it would basically convert, it would also interpret the number as the text 100, whereas now it's a number. So please pay attention to the difference between those two things. Alright, this has been it for this video. I hope I'll see you in the next one.